Hello and welcome to Fresh Perspectives. My name is Gail, and today we're going to have one of our Fun with Food episodes because Mary Zdrojewski and her mom, Joanne Zdrojewski, are my guests today, and we're going to talk about cooking with beans. Thanks for coming on, Mary and Joanne.
Thanks for having us again.
Thanks for having us.
Sure. Mary, I'd like you to tell our viewing audience about your Soup of the Month blog? Do you still have that?
I did it last year, so I ended in December.
December.
So I did a new soup every week, and they were all whole food, plant-based, no salt, no oil, no sugar.
Oh,
And
okay.
they were all delicious.
Can they still find them?
Yes, they're still online. It's 52 soups in 52 weeks.blogspot.com.
Oh, okay. That's fun. And then Joanne has a Facebook page for us. On,
for the Chautauqua Vegetarian
yeah,
Society.
for the Vegetarian Society. So you can find us there. And today we are going to be doing a program on beans, all legumes, the split peas and the lentils and things also. So now you're going to start by showing the different kinds of beans, and they did a program on this earlier in the spring for our Vegetarian Society dinner, and we had to take it was kind of like a test. To write down, the containers were numbered like this, and we had to see if we knew how many of them we knew. So that was an easier one than the time they made us do it with grains. So many of the grains look alike.
Well, they're all the same color.
Yeah.
The beans at least have some color to
help. Yeah. So anyways, one of you was going to start by showing the different beans.
Yeah. We'll use kind of beans as almost our outline for what we're talking about. If we talk about the beans, we'll talk about what we do with them and give some tips and what they're good for, the way we like to cook them best, things like that.
Yeah. So everything we brought today, these are all actually pulses too. So they were.
That's another name. That's the European name for them, right?
Yeah. So it's beans, peas, lentils, peanuts, they're all legumes. And then pulses are the dried edible seeds of legumes.
Oh, okay.
So like if you had an edamame bean, that would be a bean, but then when you have the soybean, that's a pulse because it's been dried.
Okay.
And the starch has changed, so there's health benefits to eating them both ways. So number one, do you want to guess what number one is?
Black lentils?
Yeah, so these are our black lentils. They're sometimes called beluga lentils because when they're cooked, they look a little like caviar.
Oh, yeah, because they're so tiny. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're really nice and fast cooking. We like to throw them in the rice cooker with some millet or quinoa, and they cook up really fast.
So they don't really have to be soaked ahead of time, is that correct?
Right, we don't soak any lentils ahead because they cook so quickly.
Okay.
I like these because they're pretty. They hold. They don't. A lot of the lentils, when they cook down, they kind of fall apart. But these hold their shape, and when you put them in with some other grains, they have a really pretty look to them.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I like to use them.
Yeah, so they're one of our favorites. They're harder to find around here, but they're one of our favorites.
Yeah, I think we bought those maybe up at Whole Foods.
I've never actually had them to eat. Do they taste about the same as the other lentils?
Yeah, I would say they taste kind of like a brown lentil, but a lighter flavor.
Okay.
Yeah, we usually cook them with things because they're so small, they get lost on their own.
Okay.
All right, so number two, this one's a pretty easy one.
Yellow split peas.
Yes, yellow split peas. Our favorite thing to do with these is we love to make the Ethiopian stew kikalicha.
Kikalicha?
Kikalicha, it's like a mildly seasoned stew with, garlic, onions, all the things that vegans love. So.
Yeah, you find them a lot at Ethiopian cooking, and I think Swedish cooking too. You see a lot of Swedish cooking, yellow split peas.
We haven't tried any Swedish recipes yet, so that's our next adventure maybe.
Well, I was just going to mention to the viewing audience that Ethiopian restaurants are the only kind of restaurant that you can eat at, isn't that right, Mary?
Yeah, because of my allergies. So, but Ethiopian restaurants are really fun because it's all like beans and whole grains and greens. Like
And cabbage, potatoes,
Cabbage,
beets,
potatoes.
potatoes,
It's like
green beans, a lot of whole foods.
down-home cooking.
Yes. Yeah, I think a lot of different ethnic groups would appreciate Ethiopian cooking. My husband does, because he grew up in a Polish household with a lot of cabbage and potatoes, and you find that a lot in Ethiopian foods. Yeah, he's very happy to come with us to an Ethiopian restaurant.
Yeah, if we didn't have salt and oil, we'd eat it every day. But we make it ourselves at home without the salt and the oil.
Oh, yeah.
So here's number 3. You know, number 3,
Mung beans.
mung beans. And we don't cook them too much because usually we just use these for sprouting.
You sprout them, yeah.
Yeah,
We
they
should have brought a
take
sprouter.
about-
We
yeah,
forgot that.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
they take about 4 days for a mung bean to sprout. You want them; those are fun to get a little. You don't want to let them go too far. They don't really get green like an asparagus sprouts. They kind of turn pink. That's when I move them to the refrigerator. But they only take about 4 days to sprout.
Yeah, that's the only way I've ever had mung beans, actually, I think, is sprouted. Because
Yeah.
that seems to be what they're known for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're very good in salads, or we like to make pad thai, and nice on top of pad thai.
Yeah. I'm not a very good gardener, but I can grow sprouts because you only have to keep them alive for like 3 days and then you eat them. I don't have to worry about things dying on you. All right, number 4. These are a little fancier.
Those are a smaller brown lentil.
Do you know what these ones are? Remember?
Are those French?
Yeah, so these
French
are
lentils?
French lentils. Yeah, and again, they're a nice, fast-cooking one. We throw them in the rice cooker with some millet or some quinoa, and then they're ready the same time dinner is. And they tend to hold their shape more, so they're really cute in there.
Oh, yeah.
With the lentils in the rice cooker, I usually take a cup of lentils and a cup of grain, millet, brown rice, or something like that. And then and we let that cook, and then when they're just about done, I top the rice cooker with like asparagus or broccoli and cover it, and it steams those vegetables, and then your entire dinner is there. You just take one pot out, put it on the table. Grains and beans and fresh vegetables. It's the easiest dinner to cook.
Yeah, and dirt cheap.
And dirt cheap, yeah.
Yes,
Lentils are very
that's another
inexpensive.
thing for those of you on a tight budget. It's really a good idea to go over to some sort of a bean recipe every night for supper, because the legumes are like about the lowest priced item you can buy in the store.
I grew up in a family of 7, and we had lentils like once a week. And it was, my mother could feed the entire family, plus grandma who lived with us, on a pound of lentils. And back then they were like 79 cents.
Oh, yeah.
You know, to feed your entire family.
They're more than that now, but
not too much more though, but
they're still extremely reasonably priced. Yeah.
All right, well, I know you know bean number 5 because you said you're cooking these today.
Oh, yes. We're recording this program the day before a family reunion of mine, and she has a container of black-eyed beans, also known as black-eyed peas, and for the reunion I'm making East Indian style black-eyed beans with the Indian spices and a little bit of flaked coconut. Ooh. Because if you've ever been around like at an ashram or anything where you'll be eating like a lot of Indian foods, and there's a lot of beans.
Yeah.
And I know what I wanted to say. Yeah, there's coconut. They use coconut in some of their main course recipes, is what I meant to say.
All right, so number 6 is a pretty easy one.
Yeah, that's green lentils.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are the most common ones that you
Yeah.
find in the
Yeah.
grocery store.
Sometimes
Yeah.
called brown lentils, but they're basically the same thing.
Yeah, I've sprouted those. I've also gotten some of the smaller lentils, some smaller lentils, more the size of those other ones that you were showing that I've sprouted, and
Yeah, and
those.
they only take about, I think, 2 to 3 days tops to
Yeah.
get lentils sprouted and ready to put on a salad. And
Yeah,
they're very tasty. They get nice
I
bright
think that
green
lentils
leaves.
are really the easiest thing to sprout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
easiest.
I really love them in
fastest.
lunch sandwiches.
Yeah, they get so
Yeah.
sweet and nutty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we should be talking about seeds and grains. We already did it, but you're better off, I think, sprouting lentils than you are alfalfa. A lot of people like alfalfa sprouts, and alfalfa sprouts are generally not thought of anymore as safe to sprout or even to buy. You find like salmonella, is it? Something about the way the shape of the sprout is. It is a breeding ground for bacteria or something.
Yeah,
So if you're doing alfalfa, try doing some
Yeah,
lentils.
I actually have, over the years that I've been eating sprouts, I have quite often eaten alfalfa sprouts that I've both grown and myself and bought, store-bought, and I have never gotten sick from them, but I guess it's a possibility if they've had contact with the bacteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just better to be safe. There's so many options.
And it's fun to try different
Well,
sprouting different things.
broccoli sprouts
Oh, yeah.
are
Oh, yeah.
taste just as good as the alfalfa sprouts.
And they're so healthy. Broccoli sprouts are really a powerhouse of nutrition.
Yeah, they're better for you than the full-grown broccoli, and they taste better. So many people don't like broccoli, but if they were to try the broccoli sprouts, they might find that they actually like them, and that actually they are supposed to be better for you.
Yeah. All right. Number 7.
Here's a
this
common
is a nice,
one.
easy one.
Green split peas.
Yes. They're one of my favorites. So I brought some of my.
About these.
I love to make split pea soup.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is one of my favorite things.
Well, you know, actually, I use split peas. Well, you could use either the green or the yellow, but I make this thing that can be used for either a dip or a spread out of the split peas. You know, it's just that you cook it till it's real
Really
thick. Yeah, and it's really good in sandwiches and as a dip for veggies.
Sounds good.
Yeah, that's basically what I do. I cook them down until they're really thick, and then I puree them, and then I dehydrate that and blend it up into powder, and then I have instant soup powder.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So last summer I was on a bus tour in California for 2 weeks. So I brought black bean soup and split pea soup, and I had nice healthy food to eat, while we were on the bus.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Number 8's another nice popular one.
Black beans.
Black beans. Lots of people like them for baking. They lend themselves well to doing things with chocolate. So Joanne almost made black bean brownies today, but then she changed her mind and used white beans instead.
Oh, well, that's
Well,
okay.
here we got black bean chips. They're really good. We really love those. I think black beans in a salad. Salads are good. I use black beans a lot as a substitute for beef. I make like Spanish rice, and instead of the ground beef, we just drain a can of black beans and put the black beans, and they have a nice kind of meaty taste.
Yeah.
It's a nice swap out for ground beef.
Yeah, Carol, we were overrun with, in the vegetable garden last fall, we were overrun with winter squashes. And Carol found this recipe. It was called, I think it was winter squash and black bean chili that he's been making a lot of ever since. And we still haven't eaten all of the squash from last summer's garden yet. But it makes a really good soup, the mixture of those things. And then he throws in some other things like frozen winter squash from the freezer and string beans from the freezer and things like that. And
I think you still have some of her squash in your freezer.
We do.
oh,
It
do
gave
you?
us a nice
Oh,
big
was
squash
that
and-
that great big?
Yeah, it was big.
When I bought those seeds, I thought that
Cinderella squash?
there were Cinderella pumpkins that were
Oh,
really
okay.
huge, but I had bought some seeds from somebody that were labeled as being sweet potato squash.
Oh, that was
And when we'd had sweet potato squash before, it was like not much more than sweet potato sized, and it was really sweet. But these things turned out to be huge mammoth things that were even bigger than Hubbard squashes. And it took a long time for them to ripen up too. When we first started trying to use them in the fall, early in the fall, they were green on the inside and they were kind of bland tasting. But when it got into the winter more, they started turning orange on the inside and started developing some flavor. Although I have to admit, they still were never as sweet as those smaller sweet potato squashes. But so I didn't know what I was buying. But anyway, there were so many of those. We gave some to everybody at the Vegetarian Society dinners and donated some to the local food pantry and so forth. We could have never eaten all of those ourselves. So.
Black beans are also my favorite for burgers, bean burgers.
Oh yeah, you demonstrated that last year on the program, didn't
Yeah,
you?
I think we
Yeah,
did.
when we were
did the
doing the
summer
program
foods,
on summer picnic
yeah.
food.
So I pair them up with either grated beets, if you want to have that kind of look, that rosy look of like a hamburger, or like minced up mushrooms, some of those deeper flavored vegetables. But they make a great burger.
Mm-hmm.
They also make a nice sweet dip. I puree black beans and a few dates and some peanut butter, and it makes a really nice, like a chocolatey dip.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've noticed in the grocery stores, and I did try some, although I really prefer the main course flavored hummus, but they had some chocolate and vanilla hummuses, and I do have to say that we're considered dessert hummuses, but I do have to say I like the regular hummus better.
Yeah. All right, number 9. This is one of your favorites. I don't cook it much.
Great Northern beans?
Yeah,
Yep,
Great
Great
Northern.
Northerns.
Yeah. I get a big 2-pound bag for $1.69. You can make a lot of slow barbecue beans, slow baked beans with those.
And getting back to the price of beans too, there is so much more protein in a pound of beans than there is in a pound of meat. Actually, it's a higher quality protein,
Yeah.
and
The
so
amount of protein on this. This is that edamame spaghetti per serving.
oh yes,
Look at the
soybean
nutrition
spaghetti.
information on there.
Serving size 2 ounces of dry pasta. So that would mean that eating this, you only have to eat 2 ounces of it
Well,
to get 56 grams of protein. Is that correct? Am I reading that right?
Oh, that's how much a
Down
serving
below.
is.
Go down to
Oh.
protein.
Protein, 24 grams.
24
grams
grams,
of
which is,
So a 56 gram serving is 24 grams. It's almost half just pure protein.
oh, okay.
Yeah, there's so
okay.
much protein in a soybean.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's my understanding.
Amazing.
It's my understanding that the human body really only needs 20 grams of protein a day to meet your protein requirement needs. And even those of us that eat a totally plant-based diet, we actually get 70 to 80 grams a day.
Right, so if you eat
Um,
something like
so-
this edamame spaghetti, which was very good, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you get you get far more protein than you need.
Oh, yeah.
Far more.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. They do think they have to eat animal foods in order to get enough protein.
Right, it's one of the silliest questions people ask, like, where do you get your protein? There's protein in everything I eat. I get probably higher quality protein than any meat eater does.
Just lettuce is supposed to be
Oh, yeah.
high in protein.
Lettuce, mushrooms, potatoes, tomatoes.
I remember George Eisman saying that the only way that you could possibly suffer from a deficiency of protein is if you're anorexic or a drug addict.
Yeah, as long as you're eating a sufficient amount of calories, you're going to get enough protein.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just how it works. All right, number 10 is one of my favorites.
Red lentils.
Yeah.
Red lentils, very versatile. We use red lentils a lot. It's a great way to thicken chili. If you want your chili thicker, throw in a handful of that. I like to make a sweet potato red lentil stew with fall apples in it. Very good.
Yeah. And they cook so fast. Like if you need an instant dinner, it's like 15 minutes from start to finish.
Yeah. We were making our tortillas because Mary can't have gluten, so we can't do tortillas anymore. So we're making a red lentil tortilla.
Oh.
You soak them a little bit, you blend them with water, and we have a crepe pan. You make them like crepes, and they're delicious. And these I brought. These look kind of
Are
funny.
those?
These are red lentils and a little garbanzo flour.
Oh.
And we'd had something like this at an Indian restaurant last weekend as an appetizer.
Oh.
And we came home and said, we've got to make some of those because they were good. They're like crispy crackers, and they're made with red lentils.
Yeah.
Better than any corn chip. I'm going to be making this all the time for snacks.
Did you make up the recipe yourself?
Yeah, I just kind of, well, it wasn't much to it. I added salt because it was going to be a fun food. But
it's not too salty. It's
no, but yeah, just on the crepe pan. I made them very thin, and then I crisped them up the rest of the way in the oven. But they're really tasty.
That's delicious. Can't wait to eat the rest of them later. All right, while we're snacking, here's number 11.
small red beans.
Close. So these are adzuki beans.
Oh, okay.
And I don't use them too often. They're more, I use them more for dessert things. They're a really nice sweet bean. I think a lot of like Asian cultures cook them down into like a sweet paste that they use for dessert fillings. So I usually use them in brownies and things like that. All right. Number 12.
So what again?
Those are the smaller green lentils.
Yes, those are the small greens. And again, they're a really fast one. We throw them in the rice cooker. And they're our last lentil, so I wanted to make sure I mention, I know a lot of people have issues with gluten and wheat. And so lentils are dicey. Like you want to.
Oh, okay. Some of them are grown near grains.
Yeah, lentils tend to be grown in the same fields with wheat or near wheat. So it's, you got to really be careful on the brand you get.
Okay.
So like
The most common brand, I won't say what it, can you say the name of a brand?
I don't know.
I don't know, the Goya ones. They're good beans, but they're lentils you really have to pick through, because in all the years I've cooked lentils, and we're talking, 40 plus years, when you look, rinse them out and pick through, I always find at least 1 grain of wheat, always. But now we switched to the organic lentils. They cost a little bit more, and I've never found a grain of wheat in it. So I don't know if they're just processed a little better, that they find them and pull them out. But yeah, if you're watching your gluten, if you can't have gluten, you want to be careful.
Yeah. But you can still eat them. It's just a matter of finding a brand that works. All right. 13. Those are a nice and obvious one.
Pinto beans.
Pintos. Little, look like they're painted. Yeah.
I guess they do that. I guess they must call them that because there's a type of horse called a pinto
Spotted.
that are spotted. Yeah.
Yeah. And those you find, that's what you're eating when you're eating refried beans.
Right.
A lot of people use them in chili. I know Mary likes them in a salad with Italian dressing, right?
Yes, I
That's
think
her
they
combination
taste.
she likes.
They taste cheddary, I think. Salad with Italian dressing. I don't know, it's just my perception, but I like them. All right, 14, nice and big
Lima
ones.
beans.
Yeah, large limas. Nice and mixing them into like a mixed baked bean casserole or something. I don't cook them too much because I'm lazy.
Do it take longer?
Yeah, I think so. Anything bigger, I think, would take longer.
You know, I actually have a preference for buying frozen lima beans over the dried ones, just because they cook tasting fresh more than the dried lima beans. Although I can't always find them in the freezer department, so. But yeah, I really love lima beans, and I know you can't eat corn, but at home I like to make succotash with lima beans and corn mixed together. People used to, well, they probably still do, with succotash they'd use kind of a cream sauce or something like that, but I just like them, being on a plant-based diet, I just like them mixed together.
Nice.
Nice combination of flavors.
Yeah, it is.
And it's pretty. Looks
It,
nice,
it
too.
does, yeah, it does.
All right, number 15. I call these the people-friendly bean.
Garbanzos.
Garbanzos.
Yes, they really do
chickpeas.
look that small when they're dried.
Yeah.
So what do we got
Yeah,
here, garbanzo-y?
Yeah, they
Oh, we
puff
have
right
them.
up when you soak them. So again, these are really good for sprouting. And these, I think you only sprout them until you see the tail, and then they're good to
Oh,
eat.
really?
And they're super good for supporting the immune system if you sprout them just until you see the tail. And they're really nice on salads.
day.
What? What about, oh, you lost your microphone, Joanne. Well, I guess it fell, the clip is still there, but the microphone fell out of, fell out of the, out of the clip, yeah.
You're adding some excitement. Yeah.
That's happened to me before in the middle of a program too. So, but anyways, Joanne, I think you were the one that made the spicy garbanzo beans.
Yeah,
there?
she made hers. She likes to make hers curry flavored. I like to make mine more barbecue flavored.
More
with,
barbecued flavored.
molasses and ginger and allspice. But they're very simple. You just toss them in your seasonings and put them in the oven.
As far as soaking garbanzos before you cook them, I think that that garbanzos are one that really has to be soaked for a good long time in order to get them to cook just right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I very rarely actually cook my garbanzos. Like, I either sprout them from dry or I use a lot of the garbanzo flour, and then I use the canned garbanzos because we use so many of them.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
fast and
yeah.
convenient.
It would be hard to keep enough cooked up, wouldn't
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
When you
Although,
sprout them, though, they taste very sweet, like almost like a chestnut taste, I think.
A chestnut
Yeah, like a
taste?
sweet
Huh.
chestnut.
Well, I'm going to try one
Oh,
of
yeah.
some
Yeah,
of
hopefully not too
those.
spicy.
For those of you who don't like your Indian foods to be too hot, these are just right.
Yeah, I keep a jar of curry spices, my own blend. It's less expensive that way, but also Mary has an allergy to cloves, which is in a lot of the curry
Oh, is
spice
that
blends.
right?
So
You know,
we
I-
make it without the cloves.
Yeah,
so I
you
keep
know-
a nice jar, and that way I can put a spoonful in something.
You know, I never buy cloves. I think about the only spices that I really buy, like on that order, is like nutmeg, no, not nutmeg, is like cardamom and ginger and cinnamon usually, and then the Indian spices like the cumin and the turmeric and like that. I like cilantro a lot too.
Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, cloves, they say, well, Dr. Greger says, there's his book over there, How Not to Die, cloves is like the most powerful of all the spices.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very powerful. If you can tolerate cloves, and we just don't keep them because Mary gets sick from them, sorry.
Yeah.
But you know those Italian chocolate cookies with clove spice in? They must be very good for you.
Yeah, they're super
So
high
if
in
you like cloves and
antioxidants.
you can eat cloves, you should, be eating them often.
Oh, I didn't know that, but I just buy the ones that I like the taste of best. You can overdo it, like with the cardamom, I only can use a really small amount, otherwise that cardamom taste is too strong.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like with nutmeg, sometimes just a taste of it is good. In place of cloves, I use allspice, which is a similar tasting spice.
Yeah, some of our other things we do with chickpeas, we didn't bring today, but we like to make meringue cookies.
Oh, yeah.
But I couldn't make them this week. It's been so humid. And you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
really make them when it's humid. They
Oh,
just
I
get
see.
sticky. But we just use the liquid from a can of chickpeas and whip them up and bake them like you would egg white meringues. I think they taste better than the egg white ones. They hold their shape
Well, you
better.
know, you had your vegan meringues at our last Vegetarian Society dinner, and they were so delicious, these meringues that they made, but they melt so quickly when they get inside your mouth. You know, it's kind of hard not to eat too many of them because they taste really good, but they don't last in your mouth very
Yeah, they go
long.
down fast.
They are good. They are good. And we're
But,
going
yeah,
to be
they-
trying something new with the aqua. It's called aquafaba, the juice that comes out of the can, the liquid. When you buy chickpeas, when you drain it down the drain, if you save it, we make the meringues with. But today we're going to try marshmallows.
Oh, you're going to make marshmallows,
Yeah. We're
vegan
excited.
marshmallows today.
Yeah.
And then we're going to roast them. So that will be fun. I'm looking
This
forward
is
to
the
that.
second time this year vegan marshmallows have come into conversation on Fresh Perspectives. Yeah, there was a couple of other ladies that I had on because I was mentioning something about where I'd heard that you could get the vegan marshmallows. And so this is the second time. So,
Yeah, there are some you can buy in the store, but again, they have corn
oh,
derivatives in
oh
them.
yeah, so
we
Mary
do it.
can't
Yeah.
eat them, yeah.
So we're going to try our homemade ones.
Gonna give it a shot. We'll see how it
Yeah.
goes.
Yeah, you'll have to let me know.
Yeah.
You found a recipe somewhere for it then?
Yeah.
Yeah, online. It was funny, this past weekend, went to visit family, and my brother-in-law made this beautiful meal for us. It was, he had garlic scapes and garbanzo beans and ground hazelnuts, and he had made it into and 4 kinds of mushrooms. And he made it into a light sauce to put over pasta. It was so
Oh.
good.
Oh,
And then for
yummy.
dessert, he had something that they had at, I think it's a famous restaurant in Chicago. She told me, my sister told me, that if we want to go next year, we should get reservations now. This is that exclusive of a restaurant.
Oh.
And they had for dessert aquafaba there, the chickpea fluff that we had lemon cello blended into it. So he had made some of that for a dessert for us. Because It was a
Oh.
very classy dessert they had at this real upscale restaurant. So chickpea liquid that we tossed out is getting up there in the high-end
Yeah.
restaurants.
Yeah, a lot of people have just been, draining it off the canned beans for years and years.
Yeah, so we call those meringues upcycled cookies.
Yeah.
Something we
Upcycled
used to think was
cookies.
garbage. We pour it down the drain, and who knew it was something so delicious?
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Well, somebody figured out something to do with it, so.
Yeah, I'm glad they did.
Yeah. All right.
Well, there's one kind of beans left,
16. This is one of my favorites. She doesn't cook them as much as I do.
navy beans.
Yes. So I love navy beans. This is what I make my baked beans out of. So
Yeah,
we'll have to have a
usually
contest, a
people,
baked bean cook-off.
people usually use either the navy beans or the Great Northern beans. Seem to be the best ones for baked beans.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they cook easy, and they hold together well.
Yeah. I think the navy beans have more surface area, so you get more of the good sauce.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember being when I was a kid. When my mother would make baked beans, I remembered my dad would actually make sandwiches to take to work with leftover baked beans. He'd have
Yeah.
leftover baked bean sandwiches.
I-
so.
Guilty.
Did
We used
that-
to do that way back, long before we were vegan. We were big baked bean
Oh,
sandwich
yeah.
eaters.
I think
still
most
do.
people like baked beans.
Yeah, well, I make a big pot and bring it to any picnic, and they always get eaten.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so
Now,
we didn't talk about soybeans. We've got some
Oh,
soybean things. Is that okay?
okay.
And do your soybean things there.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of controversy about soy. I'm sure you've heard it.
Oh, yeah.
But the research shows soy is preventative for a lot of foods. The soy supplements are what people want to avoid, but any real soy foods, tofu, tempeh, miso, soy curls, they're all preventative for lots of diseases. They're fantastic food choices.
And these are soy curls, and I'm not sure how they make them. It looks like there's other ingredients involved.
Actually,
They,
you would be
they look
surprised.
super processed, and they're really
With
not.
the ingredients, all it says is
They're just whole, non-GMO soybeans.
just soybeans. We had found them quite a few years ago when we first became vegan, and we tried them, and we really liked them, and it was hard to find them. We went and found them at a store in Rochester, I think. And we said, we probably shouldn't be eating them because it's not a whole food. So we put them aside, and then how did we find out?
Oh, Dr.
are the-
Greger, his How Not to Die cookbook, he used
Oh.
them. And we were like, wait a minute. are
Dr.
these a
Greger?
whole food? And yeah, they're just
Turns out they're
they're just soybeans.
they're a whole food.
Soybeans.
Yeah, they're just soybeans,
Soybeans.
and they're extruded, which
some
I
kind
think
of
just
magic process.
yes. So they come dry like this. You can see it through there, and you just soak them in something. These I soaked in some like a seasoned broth. I
Oh.
used miso, sage, thyme, a little turmeric.
You can see the turmeric.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It comes as being just a whole soybean product, and the flavor comes with what you do with
Yes,
it.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
like tofu too, the same thing. It's very plain, and it's the flavors that you add to it that make it. So I've done these with like a barbecue sauce. I would think if you like ciabattas, or any kind of marinade that you would put on chicken, you could put on these and enjoy them. People put them in stir fries. We like to do them like this, and then we just top our salads with them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like people would put grilled chicken on their salad. Yeah. so-
And these you can,
They have a texture kind of like chicken.
yeah.
They're tasty.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably think they're eating meat for flavor. This is really good. But it might be the seasonings and things that people are tasting.
Oh, definitely. It's the vegetables that people put on the meat that they really enjoy.
Yeah, anytime I think of a meat or something that I'm kind of craving because I missed it, I think, what are the flavors? What did we season that with that maybe that's what I'm missing? And a lot of times it is. It's those combinations of seasoning. Something roasted with garlic on it, or the barbecue sauces, the marinades. And you can do that with vegetables.
Yeah, I'm sure that the meat would taste very bland without the seasonings, really.
Yeah. I put poultry seasoning on things all the time, and everyone's always, if I cook like in a hostel, people are always like, what is that? It smells so good. It's like, it's just lentils, but it's the poultry seasoning they smell. Yeah.
And this is kind of a tofu scramble that's kind
Yeah,
of
the
like
classic tofu dish.
Classic tofu
Right here.
scramble, yeah. So I've got some home fries on the side there, and everyone has their own tofu scramble the way they like it. So I like to eat it at her house because it's totally different than the way I make it.
Oh, okay,
So
so
everyone's got their
those are
secrets.
potatoes on the
Yeah,
one side
potatoes
of
on the
the
side
bowl.
there.
And the tofu scrambled, made to taste like scrambled eggs.
Yeah.
And
So
some,
basically, why don't you tell them how you make a tofu scramble? I think people are curious because they're always hearing about tofu scrambles.
Yeah, so for my tofu scramble, I mash up the tofu. I've also done it with chickpeas. We just mash up the chickpeas and then I season it the same. I add some garlic powder, some onion powder, I mix up a little miso with water and put that in, a little lemon juice. My secret is I put in some mustard powder.
Uh-huh.
It deepens the flavor. And then when it's just about done, I'd sprinkle on a little bit of black salt, which is a salt you can get in the Indian grocery, and it makes things taste like eggs. It's got like a sulfury taste.
Oh, yeah.
And then I always put in either some dried parsley or some dried kale.
Do you put
So-
nutritional yeast in
Oh,
yours
nutritional
too?
yeast I put in.
Oh, yeah.
And
yeah.
then my big secret that I really like is I make some cashew mozzarella, and then I dollop that in, and it, I don't know, just adds. That's my secret ingredient. And I don't know, but everybody, if you want to make one, you know, there are thousands of recipes online. Everyone's got their own special way they make it.
You go
right?
to a vegan restaurant, everybody's got a different tofu scramble.
Yeah, yes, everybody's cooking seems different, doesn't it? You know, even people who take the same recipe to use, their
Yeah.
things turn out
Well, with-
different, it seems like.
Yeah, with vegetarian foods, whole foods, it's like the possibilities are endless. Endless possibilities, combinations of spices and beans and grains and.
You know, I don't know if you've ever met her or not. Her name is Marcy Zastro, and she lives in Buffalo. I did an episode with her, I think it was back in March or something like that. And she's what's known as a vegan educator because she went and took Victoria Moran's class. And she puts on pop-up markets and things a few times a year up in the Buffalo area. And, but anyway, I remember her making the comment that most people think that a vegan diet is a very restrictive diet, and then she adds to the sentence, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know,
Far
so
from it.
it's actually a very creative way of eating. You know, generally people that are vegan are very creative cooks, and some of them even only eat raw plant foods, which they get very well. It was Roy and Brenda Brunner who were running the Vegetarian Society of Chautauqua County until they went to Florida, and that's when Ann Watkins and I took over. And they eat a raw foods diet. They only eat, that's part of why they moved down south, was so that they could get fresh locally grown.
I like raw salads and things, but boy, I like home cooking.
Yeah.
I like home
Yeah.
fried potatoes and
Yeah.
nut loaves and mashed potatoes and gravy. You know, I like those same things that everybody else likes.
Of
but I
course,
just-
Joanne is not talking about the kind of gravy people make with the liquid off of meat.
No.
She's talking about like nut gravies and things like somewhere along the line, somebody who used to come to our dinners introduced us to a macaroni with cheesy sauce recipe. And of course, the cheesy sauce is made out of cashews and sesame tahini and nutritional yeast flakes and
Yeah,
a
see,
few other
talking
things.
about variety, we can do a vegan mac and cheese, and you can do, some people do tahini. Some people do, I've done tahini and tahini miso cheese. It tastes like a Cracker Barrel, very sharp cheddar. We do what they call the veg news cheese sauce, which is a carrot, a potato, and an onion, and a little bit of cashews, right? You cook them, and then you blend that with some turmeric. That's, I think, the best one. We were doing for a while canned pumpkin and
Oh,
nutritional
really? Oh,
yeast, a little
really?
mustard.
Yeah.
That makes a really nice. There are like endless possibilities of things that taste like cheese sauce.
Right, right. Even the Daya vegan cheese company, now they've come out with cheese sauces you can put on pasta that taste really good. But Mary was telling me, I don't know if she told you or not, but I was with a friend of mine and we ran into her
At the store.
at Wegmans, just at the a day or a couple days before Easter there, and in the health food department, and I was mentioning it to you, and you said, well, I can't eat the Daya cheese options because of the corn. There's
Right.
corn in it, so. But they really do taste good, though, for people that don't have the allergies that, or the gluten problems that
Yeah.
Mary has.
Yeah.
They do really taste like you're eating macaroni and cheese. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we used to use those processed things quite a bit, but I think we're just finding more and more ways to do things whole foods,
right.
and I
Right.
think we're better off for that, but
So
it's
you had
experimenting.
some other things you still needed to show
Oh,
us.
yeah, what else?
Yeah, what do we got here? We showed you the soy curls. Mary showed you the
We've looked at the
wonderful dried
spaghetti.
bean. Yep, that's edamame spaghetti.
And the Benitos chips.
Bonitos, and they come in, they have a pinto, and they have a white bean, too.
Not a health food, but healthier than
No.
other options.
Wegmans has an awesome new line of gluten-free pastas, but they're all chickpeas, chickpeas, soybeans, black beans, and my favorite is a green pea fusilli. Is that what-
Wow.
Mary makes a chickpea piccata, which is
Oh.
with lemon juice and capers. That is amazing on that. This we're going to have later today, actually. We're doing a Father's Day meal, not on Father's Day, for Arnie, and we're
Organic
using-
green lentil lasagna noodles.
Yes, it's a no-boil lasagna, so it makes an
Oh.
amazing lasagna with not a lot of work.
Does it come in the refrigerator department?
No, it's dried. We just
Really?
layer it in a pan, and we make a
So it doesn't
ricotta.
actually have to be boiled before making it into
No,
the lasagna.
no, you
It
just-
cooks in.
Right, we make a
It-
tofu ricotta, and we layer it with sauce and maybe some spinach, and you cover it up and bake it for an hour, and it's amazing. Wegmans also has a line now of bean cereals, like
Wow.
coconut flakes, vanilla flakes, frosted O's, chocolate O's. This is a chickpea, like a breadcrumb,
Oh,
like a
yeah, yeah.
panko. Is that what you call them? What else haven't we showed them here?
Oh,
I
you
don't
lost your
know,
microphone
you're-
again.
It just adds a little comedy to the program.
Yeah, here, you want
And
to?
now she has brownies that have been made out of white beans, you said, right?
Yep, that was a can of white cannellini beans.
Cannellini beans.
I always pronounce it wrong. Hope they taste all right. There, I added some oat flour and a little garbanzo flour, some maple syrup, a little sugar, and then these are a vegan carob chip. How do they turn out, right? I hadn't tasted them yet. So I thought,
And then you use the vegan chocolate chips then.
yeah, these
these
are
are
actually
good.
carob chips because
Oh,
Mary
yeah.
also has
chocolate.
Oh,
a can
okay.
of chocolate. Yeah,
But if you're not sensitive to caffeine, you can use regular vegan
yeah.
Right.
chocolate chips.
Yeah, yeah, we should say that, I don't know if they remember from other times we were on here, but Mary and I, not so badly as Mary, but we have corn allergies. And that includes all corn derivatives, which are things like natural flavors, citric acid. And so it pretty much knocks out all the processed food in any store and half the produce department, right? So we've learned to find our way around that and make foods that we love, that are tasty and nutritious, while respecting the food allergies. So if there are people out there that are dealing, especially with a corn allergy, because it is so overwhelming for many people. If they're looking for someone to reach out to for advice, I think you would be
Oh, yeah.
happy
definitely.
to talk to anybody
Oh,
about
yeah.
that.
I
Because
remember
you feel
the first.
kind of lost.
I
when it
remember the
hits you.
first time you came on Fresh Perspectives. We were talking about it, and you gave us copy. You brought in 8 by 10 pieces of paper with a list of the different names that corn derivatives come in, and it filled 2 sides of that piece of paper.
It's a lot.
Yes. And that includes cleaning products too, beyond that, cleaning products and
Oh, yeah.
personal care things, and yeah, it's quite a lifestyle change. But
I've even heard that some plastics contain
yeah,
corn
corn
oil.
plastics.
Yeah.
Paper plates are dusted with cornstarch. Balloons have cornstarch. I mean, it's everywhere. So, but if if somebody does find himself in that situation, seek Mary out, and she would be glad to help anybody through that.
Yeah, if you tend to have, those of you in the viewing audience tend to have, get sick after you eat very often, you might want to look into staying away from things that have this list of different corn products, so you can look on packages to see to avoid that. How can they get in touch with you, Mary, for help this way?
It's the best way.
Maybe through your blog.
Yeah.
She
So the
can
blog,
find you on
52
Facebook.
soups in 52 weeks.blogspot.com, or I'm on Facebook, or I'm sure your contact information is out there for the show, so they can contact you and
Oh,
you can put them in contact with
put
me.
you
They
in
could
touch.
contact
Put them
the
in touch with
Vegetarian
you.
Society. Chautauqua
Yeah, or the
Vegetarian
Chautauqua
Society.
Vegetarian Society.
Facebook page. Yeah, that would get you a message.
We are down to 6.5 minutes. Was there any thing else you two wanted to get in there, or shall we just chit chat?
Did we miss anything on our
Let's
list?
look at our
We
cheat
have a
sheet.
list of things
We
to talk
talked about lots of things you can do with them. Oh, we didn't talk about health benefits of beans.
Oh.
Oh yes,
That's
duh.
probably pretty important.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Let's.
Yeah, so the number one health benefit of the beans is the fiber. Like
Oh, yes,
Americans worry about protein, and they should be worrying about fiber.
Oh right. Right.
So as vegans, we don't worry about it so much anymore because we get
Plenty
definitely
of
the
fiber.
fiber we need. But that fiber is so important for regulating your blood sugar, for maintaining healthy weight, for cancer prevention. There's a lot of just carcinogens that are just naturally in our body, and the fiber just keeps moving things through. So it's all really important.
You know what I find has the most laxative effect of is those sugar snap peas that you eat the shell and
Oh, do they?
all.
They work for you, huh?
They are really, yeah.
That's good to know.
They keep you going.
So, yeah, they
Beans,
do.
that fiber in beans too is very, very good for blood sugar control. If you're
Oh,
someone
yeah.
who's having
Yeah.
trouble controlling their blood
Yeah,
sugar.
that's what they say.
Yes,
yeah.
and there's something they call the second
Second.
meal effect.
They used to
Second
call
meal effect?
They used to call it the lentil effect, and now because they know it's true of all beans, they call it the second meal effect. But when you eat beans, it controls how much of that glucose from the food you're eating goes into your bloodstream, but it also controls it at the next meal after that. So
Oh, really?
it doesn't help
Yeah.
with just one meal; it helps for 2 meals.
So
Yeah.
I don't even have to try to eat beans. We do eat beans every day. And one of the easiest ways to do it is we put them in our salads.
Oh,
On a Sunday night,
sure,
Mary and I
yeah.
get together, we make like 10 salads at once for the lunches for the week. And we fill the 10 containers with lettuce, tomatoes, peppers, and then we open several cans of beans and just sprinkle them up and down. So
Those
every-
are your
we
lunches to
know-
take to work?
Yeah, so we know every
Okay.
day we're going to get about at least a half cup of beans at lunch on our salad. And it's done. We don't have to think about it the rest of the week.
Yeah. Yeah, they're a lot of fun to eat too. Yeah, with a salad, it does hold you over longer. You don't
Yeah, it does.
get hungry for a long time afterwards if you put beans in your salad. I've noticed that. If you're just eating the raw ingredients in the salad, it's not going to be too long before you're hungry again,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah, I have
But,
a friend who posted on Facebook, and they showed how meat eaters make a salad, and it's just like a plate of lettuce, and like how vegans eat a salad, and it's like we've got the whole grains and the beans and all the different vegetables.
Oh, yeah.
We know how to
yeah.
make salads.
Oh, yeah. So mainly, you just make sure that you're not going to get hungry. I have this problem where I'm pretty sure the medical profession denies it because it never shows up on a blood test, but I'm pretty sure I have a tendency towards low blood sugar because if I skip a meal, if I don't get 3 meals a day, I literally I literally will get shaky and, you know, all of a sudden I'm not speaking clearly and stuff
When you
like
eat whole
that.
foods, plant-based, you can eat a lot more.
Right,
And
right.
you can eat more often. So, and I like to
Right,
eat,
right.
so.
But
it
as
works
long as
for
I
me.
get the 3 meals a day, I'm okay. But skipping them, forget it, you know. So,
Yeah, well, thanks for asking us on to
oh
talk
yeah,
about. We
well
like to
thank you
talk
for
about
coming
beans.
on. It's always fun to have you on, and I'm sure that somebody probably has tried some of the things you've shown how to fix. I have had people come up to me who watch my program, and they will tell me that they like my program. They'll go, because you're introducing us to things we've never even heard of. So, so that's a good thing that that where people like you are willing to come on, and it's fun to have you on and everything. And you are such great cooks.
Thank you. We try.
Try.
Yeah.
We always try something new.
Did you have? It almost tasted like there might have been a little bit of peanut butter.
Oh,
in
I
here.
did put some peanut butter in.
Oh, you did
yes.
put peanut
Yes.
butter in here.
I tend to sneak a
Okay.
spoonful of peanut butter
Oh,
into a lot of things 'cause
okay,
I love
so-
peanut butter.
So you don't want to feed these to people with a peanut
No,
butter
no,
allergy,
no.
but
Always ask, but most people will tell you if they have allergies. And
oh yeah,
it's nice if
yeah.
we know ahead because, you know, we understand about cross-contamination and we try hard to.
Yeah, there is somebody that comes to some of our dinners that has a peanut allergy, and when she does, if I've put peanut butter in something, if she's there, I always make it a point to tell her. And right now, Ann Watkins she always wants us to put the little signs out about what the name of our recipe is that we brought to the dinner. And she wants the ones that are gluten-free with the letters GF on them, so that the people will know that there's, besides you, there's 2 people that I know of that come to our dinners that are on gluten-free diets. And one of those people is diabetic too. So, so anyways, but we've come to the end of another episode of Fresh Perspectives, and I will see the rest of you in the viewing audience on the next episode in a couple of weeks.